Well, the coding problem that we'll do, even though we're not exactly on the beach, is Conway's Game of Life. And I'm surprised I've never done some of these classic problems in one of these play-by-play sessions, but this is one of the classics. I think it's been around since like the 70s or something. Okay. So basically it's 4 rules. You set up a grid with black and white squares, and then the 4 rules are any live cell with fewer than 2 live neighbors dies, because it's underpopulated. Any live cell with 2 or 3 live neighbors lives on. Any live cell with more than 3 live neighbors dies because it's overpopulated. And finally, a dead cell with exactly 3 live neighbors, has to be exact, becomes live itself by reproduction. So then this game plays itself out. And
it's a 0-player game.
0 player, it's all automated.
So you just set an initial state and it just keeps going.
Forever or until...
Sometimes it reaches a state where the next stage is the same as the previous one, so it can't change. Or there are these things called, I forget, oscillators, which just go, which go through the same states over and over and over again. And there are lots of different formations.
So we'll see if we run into some of those. But many people have done this just with Canvas, but you want to do this with actual HTML, use the DOM, drive it that way.
Well, it's one of the classic things that every programmer has coded at some point, so I always wanted to do it. And it seems that everybody who has done it in JavaScript does it in Canvas, so I thought it would be an interesting experiment to do it with the DOM and using checkboxes for the squares, because that also makes it accessible out of the box. And because when you're using Canvas, it makes it really difficult to make the game keyboard accessible.
I like that. So, and with being accessible, it means that when you set up the game, which is actually the only way that you actually play it as a player who's interacting, is you get to choose which boxes are on or off, and then that could be accessible as well. Well, and I guess it could tell someone the state of the game accessibly as well if we use
if you implement something for that, yeah.
You know, it has 10 live players
and
50 dead cells or something.
I think the code ends up being more understandable when you use the DOM. Like in Canvas, you have to implement everything from scratch. Like even when the player clicks a grid square and that makes it dead or alive, you need to implement that from scratch. Whereas when you're using, for example, a styled checkbox, you get that behavior out of the box.
Exactly. Yeah, that state, which is exactly the state we need for this game, just on and off.